Hi, I'm Nick Morales. I'm the Real Estate Deal Junkie. Welcome back to my channel.
Let's get down to business. So let's get down to business.
In today's episode, we'll be going over the first part of the 7 steps of all the lists that I actually use for our business. Now, you don't have to use them all. I've had success just myself actually using one of the many lists that we use. The first list that we actually pull from is the absentee list. So we go and actually pull all the property data, which I will explain that where we get that data, but we pull all the property data in the areas that we're marketing to, and we find properties that are absentee. What that means is that the owner does not live there. They own that property, but they have a different mailing address, which typically for an investor, what that means to us is that they most likely have that property as a rental or it's another one of their homes. So that's a good indicator of some distress, or possibly, as we call it, opportunity in this office. So that's the first list that I would take a look at, which is called the absentee list. The second list is the high equity list. High equity means basically that the property that they purchased, the owner, has a lot of equity, and not 100% equity. We just want to have enough equity in there for us to be able to make a deal on the property. What that means in simple terms is we want at least 30% equity on that property, because if we make them an offer, let's say it's a $100,000 home and they owe $100,000 on it, there's no really area for us to buy that property below market value, because that's the goal here, is for you guys to be able to buy the property below market value, because that's how you're going to make money. So you want at least 30% equity in that property. So for example, for what I just mentioned before, if it's a $100,000 house that it's worth, if they have high equity, they have at least 30% more of equity, which means that they have at least 70% left on that loan. So about $70,000 is what they owe. So there's somewhere in there that we can make a deal to be able to purchase that property. The third list is going to be a vacant list. Vacant means that the property has no one living there. There's no tenant, there's no actual owner living there. And where you can find that list typically is with the USPS, which is the United States Postal Service. They actually flag the properties that have nobody living there, so they no longer deliver mail there. So you can find that list as a vacant list. Typically you have to go directly to USPS to find that, or you go to ListSource or Listability. I'm not an affiliate of those guys, but I do know that they have some of those lists that are available there for you to purchase. So you can go there and find them, but I don't do that. We have a provider that we actually use, and I'll go deeper into that here at the end of the video. Number 4 is a tax delinquent list. So it's pretty self-explanatory there. It's somebody who is delinquent on their taxes. So the counties actually, especially here in Nevada, we actually market to 6 counties here, the 2 here in Southern Nevada, and then all of the ones in Northern Nevada. So for example, those are Washoe, Lyon, Clark County, which is down here, Nye County, Story County up in Northern Nevada, Douglas. Those are the counties that we market to here in Nevada. And we actually just reach out to them directly and say, hey, can we get the list of all of your tax delinquents? And they just send it over to you. It's pretty simple. Just email them from one of your company emails saying, hey, I would like to get all the information on the tax delinquents. Make sure that you look into the treasury sites, and they should actually have information on how to get that information. So they produce a list, I think it is every quarter, on who is behind on their taxes, because those properties actually go up for a tax delinquent auction. So definitely some opportunity there to find some deals with properties that are behind on their taxes. Number 5 is the code violation. And what a code violation means is that the county actually has people who drive around in cars, and citizens in that county can report a property or, graffiti being on a wall. And the county will drive around and actually look for these violations that the county says, they are within violation of the county laws. Typically trash in front of the property, a lot of cars. I've seen that a ton, abandoned cars on properties. And that's another opportunity for you as somebody who's looking for a property that's saying, hey, this property has been left a little bit worse for wear. So the owners have neglected it. There's something going on here, and it's worth reaching out to as well. That is also completely free. All you have to do is reach out to the counties or the cities. Here in Nevada, it's a little tricky. In certain cities like Reno and Sparks, you actually have to reach out to them directly, and they will send you their open cases. Make sure to ask for the open cases and not the closed cases, because if you ask for the closed cases, those have already been resolved and they're no longer an issue. The open cases will be able to give you a good understanding of what that looks like, properties that are in some level of distress. Now, down here in Southern Nevada, we actually just reach out to the city of Henderson directly. They send it right over to us, or we reach out to Clark County and they send us over their list as well. So once again, just shoot them an email. I would just say cordially, hey, to whoever it may concern, do you mind sharing me the code violations that are open cases right now in X county. As long as you're emailing the right people. If you're not, then they'll forward you off to the right person, and just stay persistent with it and they'll send you the list. All the lists that I've mentioned already before, the cities and states have to actually give you that information because Public Act of Information of 1990 something, where they actually have to give you that information. They cannot withhold that information, and for free. That's one of the lists right there that we also use as well, which is a good one, which is the code violation. Number 6 is the divorce list. So pretty self-explanatory there as well. People that have gotten divorced, you can find this list by going to your counties as well and pulling that information. All of that is public record. So anything that's public record, you can find by going to the county. You just got to spend some time going onto the assessor sites and maybe making some phone calls to people at the county's office, and they'll be able to help you as well. Number 7 is a probate list. Probate means that in certain states, especially here in Nevada, we are a probate state. So if there is no will, which you should always have a will. So if you're listening to this and you own property, make sure you have a will, and that's all defined, because if you are to pass away, your heirs actually have to go to probate court, and the court then decides who is then the beneficiary of those properties. So this is a great list as well for us, because it means that the person didn't put a will together. Possibly could mean that there is some distress going on in the property and some opportunity there. Once again, this list is produced by the counties and the cities as well. So you just have to reach out to them and get it there as well. So you can get these lists all from a big list provider like ListSource or even PropStream. But at the end of the day, they're all really free as well. I mean, you just got to send a couple of emails and you can get these lists. So number 8 is a interfamily trust. What that means is that a property has changed names from either Nick Morales to my kid. I don't have one, but if I did, my kid X Morales. What that shows is that there was no cost of the transfer. It was just transferred over. A lot of times what that means is that the property was in probate at some point, or the property was transferred over to somebody else for no cost. And a lot of times that's a good property for somebody who's inherited. That means that there's opportunity there to reach out to them, right? So if the property's been inherited by that new owner, there could be distress and they don't want to deal with it. So it's another good list to reach out to, because there is some opportunity there as well. A lot of the deals that I have done have come from people that have inherited property. I don't want to deal with it. They don't even want to touch it. They just want to get their money and move on. So that's a really, really good list to be reaching out to as well. Number 9 is an interesting list that we use. It's called low ESI, which stands for Low Economic Stability Indicator. To be honest with you, I'm not too quite sure what it all means and where they get the data points for it, but it's not too an expensive list. I get it from Listability. The guy that I use over there, he's the owner. His name is Russell Meneghehi. Once again, I'm not an affiliate. I just use his list. He's a nice guy, and you can reach out to him off of his website called listability.com. And that list, what that does is it takes scores that the government actually puts on people saying that they are a flight risk. They either have low credit, they may have some other underlying medical liens or judgments on their name. So those people that actually own properties, they take these data points and they produce a list called low ESI. That's a great list as well to get, because obviously it's showing people that could potentially be in harm's way, or there's opportunity there for us to actually help them get out of those issues. So that is called low ESI. Number 10 is your pre-foreclosure list. This list is kind of the basic list. Any guru out there or any coach is going to tell you, hey, get a pre-foreclosure list. You can get this list directly from a title company. They produce these lists whenever they come out. Counties that I'm in, typically they are produced almost every day, but you'll hear a lot of people say NOD, which means notice of default, NOS, which means notice of sale. So in a notice of default, it's a PDF document that they can send to you, your title company. So just reach out to somebody at a title company. Once again, you got to build a relationship with these people. The more that you spend time building a relationship with them, taking them out to coffee, title reps, the more that they're willing to be able to work with you, because they see that you're actually a business person, right? This costs them nothing to do, and it's completely free. You don't need to go pay somebody to get this list. It's literally right there at a title company, and they will happily put you on one of their lists. I think for all my title companies, they literally just CC me on with a bunch of other people blindly, and they send it out every single day. It's nothing special. We get it. We just add it into our system. And then notice of the sale, what that basically means is that the person who actually owns the note and they're foreclosing on that property because the person who owns it is behind, they've set a sale date that it needs to be sold, and it will be sold at the county, basically at auction essentially. And notice of default will tell you as well inside of the document what their name is, what the APN is, and then also will tell you they're back on the payments. So you kind of know exactly what they're getting into. Now these lists though, the pre-foreclosure, are going to be your heavily hit list. Everybody and their grandmother getting into investing is going to want to reach out to this list. And to be quite honest, I found better luck reaching out to the other lists because less people try to hit those lists because you got to go a lot deeper. But great list to start at, and it's free to get. Number 11 is liens and judgments. So liens and judgments, basically a lien could be a mechanic's lien. And what that means is if you own a property and you, let's say you skip out on a bill for a lawyer, a contractor, something of that nature, they can actually put a lien against your property. Just like a utility lien, what that means is somebody who is maybe back on their trash bill. I see that quite often people just forget to pay it, or maybe there's a lapse and then they never even realized it. HOA liens are a big thing here in the southern area of Nevada, because we are an HOA area here in Las Vegas. So there's a lot of those type of small little liens, but they add up. Those are a good opportunity there as well to be able to say, hey, this property could possibly be in trouble, or this person could possibly be in trouble. But I wouldn't read too much into any of this data. I would just start reaching out to them, right? These are just great places to start rather than just blindly reaching out to people. Judgments mean that the person was in some type of court case, or they had some type of civil altercation where, you know, they owe some money to somebody, and they actually can tie that to your personal property as well, which is what they did, is they tie that to the property. That's another way to say that there might be something going on in this. And you can get that list from either PropStream. They have a filter on there that says liens. You can also get this from a title company as well. Once again, you can get this stuff for free if you're willing to just build relationships. I don't pay for actually really any data because I have relationships with title companies and they just give me the data that I ask for. So that's really what I'd recommend here after watching this video, is think about how you can use your sphere of influence to help you get more information that's going to help you make more money. Number 12 is going to be the 55 plus. What that means is, once again, self-explanatory, is that the person who owns that property is 55 plus. Probably wondering, why does that have anything to do with wanting to sell your property? Well, typically people that are in their later 50s, in their 60s, 70s, they want to downsize. So you may be catching them at the right time. This business is all about timing. So when you're looking about doing your marketing to these lists, you're kind of trying to think about how you can look at the data and say, hey, this makes sense to reach out to these people because they have these problems. And what that is called is actually called stacking. And I'll go into that in another video of what that looks like. Right now, I just want to go over the list that we use to put into our stack. So 55 plus is a good indicator of possibly wanting to downsize or possibly wanting to sell their property for cash as well. Number 13 is going to be estate. So what estate means is that it's in a trust. So this property has been moved into a trust. My family's properties that they have are into a trust. A lot of times there's opportunity there as well, because if there's a trust in play, the executor of that trust may want to sell that property because they may no longer want to deal with it, especially if they're an absentee owner. So the trust doesn't live there at that property. Could be opportunity there as well. And that's really easy to get that list, because all you have to do is pull the property data in your county, which, by the way, you can do that by getting all the property data from your actual county's assessor site. And that's what we do, is we pull all of that data from there. Or you can, once again, ask the title company, say, hey, I want all these properties that look like this, that have this amount of square foot, that have this amount of bedrooms and bath, that were purchased in this amount of years. You know, that's when you can start pulling all that data. And then you just know that, oh, this property is a trust. Great. Now I know that their action is state property. Number 14 would be the utilities cutoff. In our state here, the utilities are owned by private companies. So I can't reach out to them and say, hey, like, give me a list of all the people that are behind on their utility payments. So I don't do that list, but I know there's people in Texas that do that stuff, because I think it's public there that they can actually pull that list. So we don't have that access to that here in Nevada. So we don't pull that, but look into, once again, if your county or your city does allow you to do that stuff and it's owned by the city. If anything's owned by the city or ran by the city or the county or the state, there's a good opportunity there to be able to get that information for free. So you just want to reach out to them again. And a lot of times, don't get discouraged. You're going to end up going to the wrong place a lot of the times when you're calling the county. What I would recommend is just being nice to the people there. Obviously, they're government workers. They get frustrated with all the calls that are coming in. And so a lot of times, just like I'm working with a seller, I just try to be as nice with these people on the phone, because then they end up directing you to the right place. And, you know, then you can say, oh yeah, Sally told me over here, I called the wrong area. She told me to talk to you. You're the person I need to talk to. It's a way that you can help me get this. And 9 times out of 10, they'll give you the information. And then now you have a contact. I would save that contact so that way you can continually to reach out to them. And now you got your data for free. So those are the 14 lists that my company actually pulls. Well, 13, because we actually don't do the utility one, but you could use that one as well. I will go in another video about actually how we use that data and stack it on top of each other to actually build a profile of people that we're reaching out to. So we're not spending money on marketing to people that don't even really want to sell their property. I hope you guys enjoyed this. You know, please comment below, like this video, and subscribe. I'll continue to drop more videos for you guys. At the end of the day, I just want to be able to help you guys do more deals. Thanks so much for your time.
Let's get down to business. So let's get down.